Welcome to Pocket Sketching. Thank you so much for signing up for the 5 tips. Delighted to have you, and I hope you really enjoy what you see on the website as things evolve. So for 5 tips, let me get started with the first one. Okay, the first tip is the color wheel. This is a standard color wheel. It has gobs of stuff. It even has 2 sides with more gobs of stuff. The simplified version was done by John F. Carlson. It involves 2 triangles. It's pretty darn simple. One triangle, flat side down, other triangle over it, point down. Now on opposite sides put red and green. You can write the word out. Then yellow. You're going from green to yellow to orange, back to red. From red to violet to blue, back down to green. Put those colors on. Anytime you use opposite colors, they're going to be really, really impressive. Anytime you mix opposite colors, it'll go to the form of gray. Now let me show you how I've used this. This is my version of that color wheel. Now this is the cleaned up one because I don't like rules. Notice that the red is opposite from green. And they are really brilliant. You're going to keep this. Put it on decent paper. Over on the side, I have mixed 2 individual colors and in every case label them. So that this is Purple Lake out of our paint set, yellow ochre, mix them in the middle, see what color you get. This is the beginning of finding out what you have in your paint set. And this is my version of that color wheel because I don't like rules. So this is far sloppier, but it works exactly the same way. And there are all kinds of color mixings around the periphery. So this is your first tip. The next one, tip number 2, is what does this mean to you? So let me show you a couple examples. Hold this on the back. I don't want you to see the rest of this. This is a very bad sketch until color was added to one person. Notice the difference. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is a sketch I just did today, and nothing stands out because it's mostly green and brown, which is a variation of red. Now with just a moment, I'm going to pick up a little red and make some part truly stand out because there's green. Wow, what a difference. Now I'm going to neutralize it by adding green to that red and using a different place to stand out. So here comes green right over the red to neutralize that. And now I will put the red somewhere else to make you go look someplace else. You can't miss that. You've got to come over here. And if I wanted you to see the tree trunk, I'm going to put a little red there. Got to merge that in a tad so it's not too garish. But notice that you have to come here because of all of that green. That's the importance of the opposite colors on the color wheel. Green and red are opposite each other. Any place you put that dab of the opposite color, you're going to pull attention to that spot. So that's tip number 2. The other 3 tips for today all have to do with perspective. This is why I'm wearing black. Normally I don't wear black, but I want you to see this. This pen you can see very obviously. When you see an artist holding up their brush in front of their eyes, they're not reading the name on the brush. Instead, this is a perspective tool. This gives you your horizontal perspective. This gives you the way things move in from the sides. This tells you how things move down and how things move up. First, before we get to this linear perspective tool, I want to go back to your viewfinder. This is your viewfinder. That's why I'm wearing black. I want you to see it. When you have found something that catches your eye, hold your viewfinder up to your eye, isolating your subject. Next, once you've isolated it, now decide whether it is a vertical or a horizontal. This is your vertical viewfinder, your horizontal viewfinder. And the edges of this are telling you the edge of your field. This is so easy to work with outdoors. Then when you add your linear perspective, we get to the next thing. And each one of these, by the way, I know I mentioned it already, when you're working with these, don't spend more than an hour and a half on an exercise, or you will get very bored, very frustrated, and the return on invested time goes way downhill really, really fast. So now we're going to actually use this in real life with my hall. One of the hardest things to do. What we're trying to do is perspective. I've already done the hall. I want you to do it 3 times. This is 1 time. You're going to stand for 1. You're going to sit for the second one. It changes your perspective. And you're going to sit on the floor for the third one. It's much harder than it looks. And I had to use the perspective tool to get these angles. I had to use this in order to see the lines coming in from the side, from the bottom and the top. There are tiles on the floor. You use this to see the lines coming in, and you use this to see the lines going down and up. It's infallible, but you're going to have to practice. Once you've practiced in your hall, my goodness, how boring can that be? Once you've practiced in the hall, now you can take it outdoors and do buildings on the street, and they will work, but you will have to use your tool to line up the angles. So what you do with the tool, this is fascinating. I want to use the one that's white. You can see this. You'll hold it up. Now you take your hand and repeat the angle on the edge of the building. Now you hold that down to your paper and repeat that angle, and it'll come out right. If the angle's like this, then you repeat that angle. If the angle's sharp like this, you repeat that angle on the paper. It actually works. It's really quite amazing. And the last one, remember I said you have to do the focal point? We already did that, but this is a focal point of a doorknob. Just the doorknob down the hall, trying to make this really simple for you. So after I put the doorknob on, how much do I need to make it look like a doorknob on a door? So this was added, that was added, that, this, and this. Not the whole door, only enough to get your focal point. That's it. So you've had 5 tips. You've had the focal, you've had first the easy color wheel, then you've had what it means to you, then you've got the viewfinder, which is here or here, whatever you're using for an implement. This is the viewfinder, then I'm sorry, this is your perspective tool. And then the linear perspective, which you had to use here. So it's 5 tips.